This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No.
Nope.
This
Just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll. Welcome to DBL. I'm Tori. I'm in for Jeff. And we're saying bye-bye to a GOAT today. All the speculation is finally over this morning. Tom Brady announced he is retiring from football again. He posted a video making the big announcement. Let's take a look.
I'm retiring for good. I know the process was a pretty big deal last time, so when I woke up this morning, I figured I'd just press record and let you guys know first. So I won't be long-winded. Like, you only get one super emotional retirement essay, and I used mine up last year. So really thank you guys so much, to every single one of you, for supporting me, my family, my friends, my teammates, my competitors.
So meantime, last night, Tom appeared on the red carpet for the premiere of his film 80 for Brady, and he towered over co-stars Rita Moreno, Sally Field, Lily Tomlin, and Jane Fonda. A lot of talent right there. That movie hits theaters coming up on Friday. So what's next for Tom? He doesn't know. Well, no, he does. He's expected to join Fox Sports as a broadcaster in a deal that's reportedly worth, get this, $375 million over the next 10 years. The lady with the feathers, I have a question for you.
That's a book that I'm going to write.
I'm like the Cookie Monster and Big Bird had a baby, and this is the result.
I wanted to know really quick, is he big in the, do you guys see him as the GOAT?
I didn't know who he was until I moved to America.
Okay.
It's one thing that I find really interesting is, like, so we have, what you guys call soccer, right? Which is, we have the World Cup, and all the countries which America participates in get involved. And then there's a Super Bowl, and they say, we're the world champions. But it's just America, which I find really fascinating.
That's funny.
But technically they are, because no other country competes.
See? Hey,
But
it's all
no,
about
I
semantics.
didn't. I knew who he was because of Gisele.
I see, from the fashion side.
Gisele married some footballer dude, and then I came over here and realized, oh, he's really famous. But
Super duper famous. What do you think, Erica? Do you think he'll stay out? This is it?
Yeah, I think this is it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think that a lot of people have a lot of feelings about Tom Brady. I have had my moments of Tom Brady hate, generally after he beat my favorite team.
Sure, fair.
But I think that we have to acknowledge that he's called the GOAT for a reason, and that we got to witness some of the best football quarterbacking, you know, in history. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does next. I don't know if the fandom necessarily, because once you get into that sports commentating world, the fandom can translate, or it could possibly go the other way.
Right.
But either way, he good. And I want to be that good one day.
One day you want to be that Brady good.
Yes.
What do you think? Do you think he regrets the last season, since we don't know this? We're speculating that the marriage sort of fell apart. We don't know if it was earlier, but it seems like the marriage and he separated because he stayed. What do you think about him staying?
I don't think he regrets it. I think he would play as long as he could. I mean, you think about us up here, we look at him like, oh, Tom Brady plays the sport. But what if your doctor said, Erica, you know, we looked at your vocal cords. You probably have about another year and a half of broadcasting.
You're going to lose your voice, yeah.
Well,
Don't
yeah.
be putting it. Hello,
But it's like,
energy.
no, but that
The ancestors have come down.
That energy happens to people like your brother who played pro ball or played college ball. Happened to Jeff. I always think about this thing like, what if I couldn't do stand-up anymore? That's why it's so hard for me to judge people, because I love this. I love talking to my friends, and somebody's like, yeah, next Friday, just you're rich, go home. And do what? So I hope that Magic Johnson, being kind of the original, the OG in terms of like life after sports, and being arguably more successful post-career, and not just being some guy that kind of lets themselves go and you're getting photographs of, look what happened to this guy, he used to be a Super Bowl champ. I hope that Tom Brady can be a template for a lot of people that are, most of us, that are going to have 2 or 3 or 4 legitimate careers in our lifetime, in our adult working lifetime. So I wish him well, because I think he'll give a lot of people motivation. Except for Rob, the cameraman, who hates it.
Rob does hate him. He went to Michigan, so I'm a huge Brady fan. I went to University of Michigan, but a lot of people dislike him, and I wonder if that'll translate into his commentary.
I think people will really tune in to see what he's got to say. He's got that. He's going to have a very captivated audience for a very small period of time.
Yeah.
And then it'll either go one way or the other. But I think it'll skyrocket. People love him.
I know.
Hate watching is still watching.
Sorry, Rob.
Ooh, say that
Sorry,
again
Rob.
for the people in the back.
Hate watching is still watching.
Ooh,
Amen to that.
Very nice. All right. Well, meantime.
There's Rob.
There's Rob. He's miserable. Meantime, there he is. Meantime, Tom's ex-wife Gisele, who's also a goat in her industry, is reportedly set to break her silence. In a new Vanity Fair interview that could be coming as soon as April, there's a lot of speculation about what she might say about her split from Tom, which was first announced back in October. So if you don't know, Gisele stepped back from her modeling career to raise her kids with Tom, but recently she's been photographed back at work doing photo shoots. She's also hi Patty. But she also, by the way, has been seen with a jiu-jitsu trainer that she's been training with. I think we might have some video of them sparring in love.
Feisty.
No.
Steph, do you like this? Would you do this with your
I don't think
husband?
that would happen now.
Oh, there he is. There he is.
I mean, he's a handsome-looking man. There's no denying it, and obviously very physically fit. But I mean, it's Gisele. She can date whoever she wants, do whatever she wants, and will continue to be the hugest model of one of the biggest ones of our generation.
And just like a Tom Brady. Does anyone here think she'll spill real tea?
I think we all knew way back when. I knew years ago. Oh, Gisele isn't happy with her husband. Didn't really know who her husband was. So I think she's gonna get it all out. Yeah.
I think that she is actually going to she's going to toe the line.
I think you're right. I agree.
I don't think that it's going to be anything salacious that's actually going to come for him.
Just a little.
But I think that there's going to be, a bit of honesty, and there's going to be something that is going to resonate with people who can see their story through hers.
Yeah.
And I think anytime someone's willing to share their story in that way, especially because it is still very early.
Yeah.
I mean, it hasn't even been a year, and that is a very sensitive time for anyone splitting from a relationship like that. So I think that it's going to be impactful, but I don't think we're going to get dirt.
The tea. I agree. And I want the dirt.
No, I think it's different tea, though.
Is it like herbal?
I think it's tea that most people unfortunately will run into when they talk about the end of a marriage. It's not always like somebody ran away with their assistant or somebody had an alcohol. I think sometimes people marry folks that are more in love with their job than they are with anything else on the planet.
And they're two people that are very successful,
Absolutely.
that are at peaks of their career, and Gisele really did minimize hers and go on the back foot to support Tom for a very, very long time.
And how many people can say that in their relationship?
Yes.
I took
a
a
lot
step
of
back,
people.
and so there is that I love you, but I am resentful of you because for when you were having the ticker tape parades for being the best footballer, as you say, she was having that every day. It's just like she was in Milan and she was in Seoul, and she's like you said, you knew about. It's so interesting because I talked to my friends and they're like, they call Dwayne Wade Gabrielle's husband, and I'm like, no, he's the best basketball. I love him. But it's so interesting to see the juxtaposition and how people know people, and a lot of times Gabrielle Union in a lot of circles, Beyonce in most circles, and Gisele in most circles are more famous than their famous husbands.
Totally.
But you hear that. It's interesting they use Gabrielle Union as an example because in her second book, she talks about that. Once Dwayne Wade retired, it was supposed to be about supporting her, and it still,
about him.
in some ways, felt like she had to continue to sacrifice, although it was supposed to be her time.
Interesting.
So when you hear those
like
types
Gisele.
of, right. So
a
it's
lot like Gisele. And it's the woman has to carry, woman has to go through it. It lands on the woman a lot of the time. Speaking of, well, this isn't speaking of anything, but this story is crazy. Alec Baldwin, thanks. Alec gave me a thumbs up on that. Alec Baldwin has been formally charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in connection with the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust. So prosecutors in New Mexico said that Alec was, quote, not present for a firearm training session at the start of filming, and then was distracted and on his phone talking to his family during another safety session. They added that Alec, as a producer, fostered a, quote, climate of recklessness on the set, and that Helena was shot and killed during a rehearsal where a plastic gun should have been used. Yesterday, Alec's wife, Hilaria, posted this photo with their 7 children, writing, "Alec, we love you and are here for you." Alec has stated he never pulled the trigger, but if convicted, he faces up to 5 years in prison. I've always stated this is part Alec's fault. Only because he, A, is a producer and had people walk off the set an hour before the shooting for safety reasons and didn't reassign the crew to make it feel safe. And 2, he pointed the gun when it wasn't in the script at a person, and he is an educated actor. I'm not trying to throw the book at him, but I think he has culpability. Am I wrong?
You threw a pamphlet.
I threw a brochure. I threw a brochure, a flyer.
But I mean, no, something needs to be thrown. When you say, I, Stephanie, or I, Erica, or I, Tori, am going to be a producer on this as well as an actor, these are all the hats that I'm going to hang this on, put this on my shoulders, then you need to be setting the tone for paying attention when we're handling firearms. And when you don't, when you let the tone be, hey, do what you want, just be back by noon. Hey, do what you want, have fun, I'm the cool boss. Well, sometimes people end up dead. And this is part of it. Everybody wants to be so in the know, and this is, I got this, but nobody wants that smoke once the coroner shows up. So he might have to. Do
you think he'll see jail time? I think he will.
I think, looking at it now, I think it's a lot more likely than I ever thought, maybe even a week ago, just like looking at the full spectrum of neglect.
Yeah, and I think what you're referring to is that the information came out that there was a 1-hour training that he only did for 30 minutes, that he was distracted the entire time, that there was another training that he never
missed.
Attended in terms of firearm safety. So yeah, that doesn't look great for him.
Right. I do think the armorer does deserve probably more jail time in terms of that was a real revolver. What was that doing there?
Yeah, why was there a real gun?
Right. And
it was
live
meant to be
ammo.
a plastic gun. Why is there ammo in the gun?
Right.
There are so many unsigned questions. Who put that in there?
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm sure you can tell the difference. He knows the difference between a real and a fake gun.
Wouldn't he just touch the gun and be like, what is this? I mean, you would think that as soon as he touched it.
Why is he pointing it in a scene where it's not even meant to be pointed? And like, a gun doesn't just magically go off by itself.
I agree with all of that. I have a hard time thinking he didn't accidentally hit the trigger, that it went out there.
But then why is it not on safety? There are so many things. Like, again, he should have been at the training. That is on him.
Yeah.
If I, by accident, shot someone and I was, it was meant to be a fake gun, and it's real. 2, with live ammunition. 3, I didn't pay attention, didn't attend any of the safety things. I'm off on the phone doing something else. 4, I'm a producer on the thing. 5, I'm the actor, and I'm doing something that isn't in the script.
Right.
I mean, how many more things do we need? This is a person's life that's been lost.
Yeah, I agree with you completely.
Mother, yeah.
Let us know what you guys think. If you disagree with us, we'd love to hear your take. Coming up on DBL, Pam Anderson's new doc is out. What did she have to say last night on Kimmel about possibly walking down the aisle again? And could the Spice Girls be reuniting? I'm going to break it down for you coming up next. Our viewers are talking about DBL.
Yes!
I like that.
Leaves me speechless. I'm like blushing. Thank you, thank you. That's emotional.
Do I want to sit there and watch them? Yes, I do.
So we didn't get to this, but Ozzy Osbourne has also announced a somewhat retirement statement yesterday or last night. He was going on tour, and he's always done a lot of touring, as you know. Sharon, his wife, was his manager for all those years. But he has come down with Parkinson's, unfortunately, and then a lot of injuries. And he had lately a spinal surgery that did not end up going the way they wanted to. He has canceled all the tours. He is essentially no longer going to be a touring musician. And for someone who does that, like a stand-up, that's got to be the end of your arm. It's got to be cutting off a limb.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's had such a great career, but you always want to get back out there. I remember working with the late, great John Witherspoon. I probably worked with him a year and a half, 2 years before he passed away. And I told him, I was like, you're going really hard. You know, you're a famous guy, but his drive is to continue to make money for his family, your kids in school, whatever. I don't want to get into this personal. But there's a lot of us that just want to work.
Yeah, I know, like
you know,
border
how many
collies.
people do you have to say, like, mom, dad, you know, somebody, like, you can't have a full caseload or whatever.
Yeah, you got to take it easy.
And I think there's this weird thing where people, especially when they love what they do, he went so hard initially.
Yeah.
You only get one of these bodies,
I know.
and I think he really
And you saw it on the
Famously-
Osbournes, remember that? When you saw it, he was just shaky, and he said he had trouble remembering and coming up with words, and aphasia, which is what people with dementia
Which is
have,
what
right?
Bruce Willis has.
Yes,
as well.
that's right. So I just
Yeah.
feel he went really hard, and it's like kind of catching up, I think, to him. But we wish him all the best. And is this it? Or this is it? No, this is it?
Are you
This?
Are you
Ozzy! Is that
showing
bad?
the devil?
Welcome back. The tabloids are serving up some juicy content this week from LA to the UK. But do any of these rumors ring true? Ring, ring. Hello? No way. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. It's for it to be true that the Spice Girls are getting back together. Sources say all 5 of the Spice Girls, even Posh, are reuniting. But actually, they're only getting the band back together for King Charles? Let me explain. King Charles's coronation is this May. It will be a huge royal party, and what better way to spice up a coronation than with the Spice Girls? But for right now, it's still just a rumor, so I'll try not to get my hopes up too much.
Too much of something is bad enough.
Now, onto the drama coming out of Calabasas. People are not pleased with Kourtney Kardashian's latest wardrobe choice, which was a choice. The dress had a print of a Renaissance-inspired painting of a naked woman, which at first glance makes it look like Kourtney herself is naked. Like I said, it was a choice. But people took to the comment section of her post to air out their feelings about the dress, saying things like, "You people have tons of money and wear the worst clothes ever." And another one saying, "Lord, that's the ugliest dress ever." Now, as an art history major, I appreciate this deconstructed take on the human body, but as a Kardashian fan, I say that's a hard no, Court. Hard pass. That's all for this week. We'll be right back.
This year, sales of electric vehicles have soared. So for many of you, this could be your first winter driving a battery-powered car. And if you've ever tried to use your phone when it's cold out, you know batteries and freezing temperatures don't mix. One of our viewers, Martha, asked, do electric vehicles lose range, meaning the distance they can travel on a single battery charge in cold weather? So Martha, let's verify. Our sources are Consumer Reports, AAA, and 2 academic researchers who specialize in electric vehicles. Earlier this year, Consumer Reports released a study where they ran numerous EVs in different seasons, controlling for all variables but temperature. The study found that at 16 degrees Fahrenheit, the cars on average could only go about 3/4 of the distance they could travel at 65 degrees. A similar study by AAA a few years ago showed similar results. The cars back then actually performed even worse in cold weather. So we can verify, yes, electric vehicles lose range in cold weather. So why is that? The biggest reason is simply the need to keep the driver comfortable. Gas-powered cars generate heat by burning fuel, and that heat can just be pumped into the cabin. But EVs need to generate heat independently, meaning the battery now has 2 jobs in cold weather, propelling the car and heating the cabin.
Electric cars are way more efficient. Most of the energy is being used to move the car, and there's not so much excess heat that is being created. A little bit, but not much. So when we need to heat the cabin where we sit, we actually need to use more energy, and that lower the range of the car.
The good news, the loss of range shouldn't affect most drivers. On longer trips, you will need to recharge more often in cold weather, but for a daily commute, it shouldn't make much of a difference. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
Welcome back. Let's just read a little newspaper for myself. Pamela Anderson's new documentary debuted on Netflix yesterday, and Pam gave a very rare look into her life away from the spotlight. It also looked at her close relationship with her 2 grown sons. Her eldest, Brandon, who is 26, who was actually a producer on the film. He revealed he wished his mom actually would have taken the $5 million she was offered to hand over the rights to the sex tape. He also said she has been in debt for most of her life. Now, Pam confessed to Jimmy Kimmel last night that she would consider walking down the aisle for a 6th time. Take a look.
Do you think you will ever get married again?
Oh, God, what a crazy question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope so.
You hope so? Oh,
Yeah.
you want to get married again?
I mean, I hope so. I don't know. I still have a lot of life left.
Okay, so what do we think about seeing Pam as a mom and never giving up love? I just want to say in response to her son saying, I wish he had taken the $5 million, she said in response, I wouldn't have taken $100 million to hand over the rights to the sex tape.
I believe that.
I agree with you too. She just didn't want to monetize that. It was stolen. What do you think?
You know, I haven't seen the documentary. I'm really looking forward to seeing it because I admitted that I saw the one that was unauthorized.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I was one of the people that was like, wow, I really have a tremendous amount of empathy for Pamela Anderson.
Agreed.
You know, we have to consider, just in light of the Me Too movement and everything that's happened in the past 5 to 10 years, that this was a woman who, yes, she modeled for Playboy. She showed her body. She monetized that. But she also was put into a very restrictive box that said, you can't do anything else. And when we decide that your beauty is no longer able to be monetized, then you must go away. And people can't be thrown away like that. And I think that she has a tremendous amount to offer in terms of her story. I think that she could help a lot of women when we're talking about this Instagram society and the filters and all of these things that are really affecting our young girls today. I think that she could be a part of that conversation. So I'm happy that she's telling her story, and I'm happy that people are willing to listen and see a different side of her. I'm not surprised that she's been in debt for most of her life, and I'm not surprised that she wouldn't have taken $100 million.
Especially after I learned too, I thought was interesting, she's come from nothing. From Canada with like an alcoholic, abusive or allegedly father. It really had a horrible sexual assault at one point. What do you think, Steph? Are you excited to see this? I didn't know she came from dirt poor to where she is now.
She's been violated and abused.
So many different ways, you're right.
In so many different ways, professionally, personally, within her relationships. And also, I really feel for her. She feels like she never has her voice heard, ever. And even though I did also watch the Hulu series, Pam and Tommy, which I loved, which she did obviously not give her permission to, she did come across really well in that, and it gave you so much empathy for her. And I was listening to her on the Howard Stern show, and she was saying, you know, she also has a book that's coming out, and she'd written this entire book. She said she's written her whole life, and a lot of publishers wanted her to have a ghostwriter. They didn't even believe in her own voice and her own stories, and she was like, no, I've got this. Let me use my own words. Finally, it's been published and it will be coming out soon, but I just think she deserves this so much. She is a star. She is a Hollywood starlet, and she deserves her time in the spotlight. She deserves for her side to be told.
Yeah. Alan, will you be watching?
I absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I'm more interested in just like the era. I mean, when we look about the documentaries that are coming out now, what was going on at the Playboy Mansion, the Girls Gone Wild, the Abercrombie and Fitch situation, all of this was predatory men taking advantage of young, attractive people, taking their value, and then when they're no longer useful, expelling them. So I think this will sadly be part of it, but hopefully we can learn a lot from it.
Let's learn from her voice. I agree. Let's learn from her. We'll be right back.
Kanye West has declared his interest in political office, even launching an informal run for president in 2024. In an interview last year, West mentioned one of the issues he wants to address.
One of the laws that I would change is it's illegal to collect rainwater in America.
Several verified viewers emailed us to ask if West was right. So, why do people care about rainwater rules? Well, as droughts and water access start to impact more people in the U.S., many are looking to the skies for help. So let's verify. Is there a federal law banning people from collecting rainwater? Our sources are the U.S. Department of Energy, fresh water systems, and state laws on water collection. We can verify, no, there is no federal law banning people from collecting rainwater. The The U.S. Department of Energy says rainwater collection is regulated by individual states, not the federal government. Many states don't regulate rainwater collection, but 17 states have some restrictions on collecting and using it because of concerns about water quality as well as water access for farmland. For example, in Colorado, rainwater can only be used outdoors, and there are limits on how much water can be stored. While in Nevada, residents are allowed to use rainwater inside, like for flushing toilets, but you can't drink it and it can only be collected from a single-family roof. On the other hand, some states and cities encourage individuals to collect rainwater by offering incentives to buy rain barrels. But before you fill up your glass with rainwater, water treatment company Freshwater Systems says, without first passing through a robust filtration system, rainwater is not safe to drink. For a breakdown of which states have restrictions as well as tips on collecting rainwater, head over to verifythis.com. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till. During the interview process for a new job, you can feel like you're under a microscope. Employers asking for all sorts of personal information. But what information is off limits? One of our viewers who was going through the hiring process says a potential employer asked for her credit info. She asked us if that's legal. So let's verify. Can employers in most states request access to your credit report? Our sources are the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, the National Conference of State Legislatures, IntelliCorp, and Experian. There is no federal law prohibiting employers from running a credit check on potential employees, and it is a legal option during the hiring process in most states. But at least 11 states and 4 major cities have laws limiting or banning employer credit checks, according to the National Conference of State Legislatures and IntelliCorp, a company that provides employee background checks for businesses. But even in those places, exceptions are made for some government and finance jobs. Under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, employers are required to get written permission before they can check your credit. You can say no, but the employer can choose not to hire or promote you as a result. According to Experian, one of the 3 major credit reporting bureaus, if an employer runs your credit, they won't be able to see your credit score, specific account numbers, or information about your spouse. If you don't get the job because of your credit report, the employer has to tell you that that's why you're being rejected and give you an opportunity to correct any errors in the report. With your Verify, I'm Ariane Till.
Welcome back. There is a lot of benefits to having a bathtub, and it will make your dream bathroom even better. We're talking about it in today's tips, sponsored by Jacuzzi. First, whether you have a sore back or achy joints, soaking in a bathtub can give you some pain relief. Next, that steam from that hot bath can help you breathe easier if you have a cold, also for your skin. You can even get bath salts that can help with respiratory relief. And finally, bathtubs can serve as the focal point in your bathroom and add value to your home if you put it up for sale. If you want to start your remodel, Jacuzzi can help you do it the right way with a spa-like experience. Jacuzzi offers an unmatched, stress-free remodeling process. So visit jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 1-800-523-1523.
Another little perk is it calms anxiety.
Oh, yes.
Just that water, like floating in the water.
Absolutely.
And I can promise Jacuzzi this: it will be the focal point of my bathroom. That'll be the first thing I show you. Look at my Jacuzzi.
We'll be back tomorrow.
Look at my Jacuzzi.
I'm glad you promised us that.